Psalm 91 says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. There's nothing like being in the presence of God. For in the presence of the Lord is fullness of joy, and in his right hand are pleasures forevermore. If you are in God's presence, in his hands, you're in a really good place. Regardless of whether or not things have been figured out, regardless of whether or not problems have been solved, regardless of whether or not you received your, ready for this word, breakthrough. Being in the presence of God is healing enough. It's funny how we come to God often and we ask God for a breakthrough. We ask God for deliverance. We come before God with our needs, sometimes only coming to him with our needs. Oh, you missed that part. Yeah. Sometimes only coming to him with our needs, as if God's only purpose in your life is to be the problem solver of your life. It's funny how often our faith gets faded when we don't get what we want from a God who gets what he wants at all times. I say this because often many of us today, we find ourselves confronted with circumstances and situations that are weighing down on us. Situations that we have not yet found answers to. Problems, circumstances that we have not yet figured out. And in the presence of all that, we come before God, and over time, when we pray over and over and over again, and we don't get the answer to it, what happens to our faith? It begins to wane. It begins to weaken because we're not getting what we came to God for. Today, I came to invite you to something different, something deeper, not just a faith that solves the problem, not just a faith that believes that God can do it. I believe God can do it, whatever it is that you're going through. But there's a faith that goes beyond believing what God can do and in trusting who God is. Yeah. Did you hear me? We often get so fixated on the problem that we miss out on the person. And in missing out on the person, we miss out on the blessedness that comes in just being with the person. Anybody been in a situation because, sometimes we find ourselves in issues and hard times, but when we're with the right people, it feels much better to be in it. You ever been in some kind of mess, but because you got the right friend with you, you're like, man, I can go through this with you. Anybody been hungry and broke, and you're like, we broke, but we're both gonna split this poke bowl because I'm with somebody. Oh, y'all ain't with me. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You ever had a good meal with somebody you didn't want to have a meal with? Ever been in a date with somebody you could not stand? It doesn't matter how expensive the date is. All you're thinking to yourself is, I need to get up out of here. How did Match.com get me in this situation? But when you're with a hitter, when you're with a person who you're like, man, I can go through good times and hard times with you, that even if it's not great, but I got you. I got you, babe. Anybody got an I got you friend? Anybody got that one friend? Well, there's a better friend, and it's Jesus. That when you're with him, regardless of what you're going through the hardest of times, he says, I didn't just call you servants. He said, I call you friend. What does the song say? What a friend we have in Jesus. What a great friend we have to know that I can sit with him, eat with him, dwell with him, dine with him, fellowship with him. Circumstances don't determine fulfillment. Relationship does. That's why you can weep in a Ferrari and laugh in a Ford Focus. Oh, y'all miss me. Y'all miss me on that. Somebody like, can I just laugh in a Ferrari? Like, I love that. If you could just set me up real quick, I'll be good. Fast Pastor, don't worry, I got you. Give me the Ferrari you're weeping in. And then... But the reality is often we get so fixated on the situation that we miss the person. But what if the situation draws us into a deeper desire for the person? Oh, can I switch it for you today? There are many of us, when we're discouraged, we move away and focus more on the problem. But there are those of us who our faith switches us into, no, I don't just need you to fix me. I need you to be with me. Oh. In this text, we read of a blind man named Bartimaeus. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the story, if you weren't, you read it just now, you know how the story goes. I want to highlight a couple things in this story which I think are critically important and what I want you to draw your attention to. The first thing that you'll notice in the story is the story first identifies him by his condition. He's a blind man and he's a beggar. You see, in those days, if you were blind, there was no kind of public aid or support for you. There was no welfare system. There was no plan for you. If you were blind, you were on your own. And guess what? They didn't have many jobs for blind people. And so often those who were blind were those who were left aside, ostracized, to figure it out on their own. And so they've lived a life, if you're blind, you've lived a life that depended on people's mercy toward you. If today nobody helps me, then I can't do anything for myself. I have no way of earning income. I have no way of figuring things out for myself. I'm dependent entirely on people's mercy toward me. Often those who are in those circumstances and situations, they're trusting in the guilt that people have for the condition that they have. If they can see the depravity of my situation, then maybe they'll give me at least an expression of love. It might not be love as we understand it, but just enough to get me going. How many of us have operated as blind beggars? We're blind in the condition, begging for just a little bit, just a crumble, just a morsel, just a little bit of a hand reached out. How often is it that we present our problems hoping that people can connect to us with the situation and circumstance we face? Can I dig in for a little bit? Because Bartimaeus is here in this text, and it says that he's lived a life begging. In other words, he was a houseless man. He was a man who had nowhere to live. That the only thing that he had that would cover and support him was his cloak. Are y'all with me so far? Oh, the cloak represented many things. The cloak was the thing that kept him warm. The cloak was the thing that he put his change in when he would receive it. The cloak was his bank account. Oh, yeah. The cloak was his job. And that cloak represented everything that covered him. He was identified by his cloak. What you think his cloak looked like? It wasn't what the tax collectors wore. It wasn't what the Justin Biebers of their time wore. The cloak that he had on indicated who he was. Dirty, tattered, sloppy, nasty. I know y'all hate that word. But that's what they saw when they saw this man. And he comes and he hears that the Son of God, the Son of Man is coming by. It's one thing to know what you're faced with. It's another thing to know there's a person who can fix it. It's one thing to know the condition that you have. It's another thing to know there's someone who can solve it. It's one thing to know I'm down and out and everybody else is giving me crumbs, but there's one who can give me life. How many of us have submitted to the crumbs of the society, the crumbs of the culture, the crumbs of your friends, the crumbs of your family when he's offering you life and life more abundantly? This man knew that you guys have been giving me just a morsel, but there's one that can give me a meal. And he says to them, now that I know, as Jesus walks by, this blind man, how would he know? He would only know by asking, what's going on? What's the noise? Is he coming by? Is he here? Imagine now for a moment, close your eyes. Just close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to stay here for a moment because faith is not what you see. Faith is what you hear. Proof? Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. If you see it, it ain't faith. To have faith, it requires a hearing because faith comes by what? Hearing. Oh my gosh. And hearing by the word of God. Oh, I'm preaching now. And for many of us, we're too busy watching and not hearing and listening. Our attention is on what we see and we get distracted and discouraged. We sit around looking at our situation, not realizing that God is speaking some words. There's things that are being spoken. There's conversations that are happening. There's indications of God moving. And often we miss the move of God because our eyes are fixed on where we are, whereas our ears are fixed on where we're going. This man sits down and he hears the Son of Man. Just eyes closed for a moment. He's hearing it, and he's hearing. Wait, hold on. I think Jesus is here. Jesus is here. I don't need to see him. I hear him. And now that he hears him, he calls out on him. And he says, have mercy on me. Open your eyes. Just think about that for a moment. How many of us come to God and say, God, fix it? He says, God, fix me. God, fix my problem. God, fix my situation. No. He said, fix me. Have mercy on me. Be attentive to me. Ready for this? Jesus, who's walking by, who now is in the periphery of Jesus, is a man who says, I am an earshot away from him. If I would just call on him, and if he would just hear me, that I'm not asking Jesus, heal me. I'm asking Jesus, give me mercy. And as he's crying out to Jesus, what happens next? Everybody who's around him say, can you keep it? Come on, man. Can you keep it down? Can you keep it down? Sounds like the church. Can you? It's when I'm going through things, I'm okay with the you that's fixed. But if you got problems, oh, snap. Should I walk away now? For the you who has problems, can you just kind of I don't know what to do with that. So this man is blind. This man cries out to God, and rather than bringing him to Jesus, they push him away. He says, Jesus, have mercy on me. And they say, keep it down, bro. When we cry out to Jesus, are we disturbing the peace in the church? Or are we inviting people to a deeper encounter with him? Yeah. Are we so desperate to say, I don't care about decorum. I don't care what you think about me. Because the scriptures say that when they told him to be quiet, it says in that text that he cried out even louder. He said, I'm not going to let church people discourage me. I'm not going to let the lack of people's faith discourage me. I'm not going to let what people think of me discourage me. I'm going to lose all my decorum because my situation can only be solved by the one who's got all the answers and you don't. So I'm not here for you. I'm not here to please you. I'm not here to impress you. We got to get out of a church where we're too busy trying to gain people's approval when all that matters is what the King of Kings believes of us. And so, he says, have mercy on me. Some of us here, we don't get there. We're too busy worried about, are they going to know I'm in some mess? Are they going to know that broken? Are they going to know that I'm not well? I mean, up to this point, I've been putting on a front. Oh, come on, Tampa people. We're good at that. Oh, we're good at faking it till we make it. We're good at looking good even though we're not feeling good. We're good at playing the part even though our lives are falling apart. Oh, help me, Jesus. But this man is wide open, and he comes and he calls out on Jesus. And when they try to shut him up, he cries even louder. And then when he cries louder, he gets into Jesus's purview, and Jesus says, yo, bring him over here. And what do the people who just told him to shut up do? Hey man, come over here. Jesus wants to talk to you. By your volition or by Jesus? And then, watch this now. He comes to Jesus and he cries out to him. And then he does something profound, which I'm asking for those of you who are here to do today. He tears off his garment. He pulls his garment and he rips it off. And he comes before Jesus naked. You have to understand, in those times, the cloak was all he had. The cloak was his livelihood. The cloak was his bank account. The cloak was his protection. The cloak was his identification. And he says, I'm tearing it all off and I'm laying it down before you. And then Jesus responds, what would you like me to do? Can I just teach for one moment? We cannot come to God with our cloaks. We can't come to God with what everybody else sees. God cannot heal the fake version of you. He can't heal the person you're pretending to be. He can't restore the person who still has put shame on themselves, who still is identified by their past sins, who's still identified by what they... No, he can't heal the one who's still faking the funk. He heals the one who comes boldly before him in purity to say, God, this is me. Rips off his jacket and says, I don't have time for the external expression. There's a deeper thing going on in my heart that I'm bringing to you. You see, God wants to move today. He wants to move in your heart. He wants to move in your life. But he cannot move with a person who's still got their cloak on. It's not the Joel 2, where the folks had a performance of rending their garments. God's like, I don't need your external show. I need the internal rending of your heart. How many of us have brought our heart to God? Today, here's my invitation. As we go into prayer, my invitation to you is this. Will you bring your heart to God? Some of us came in here today with our cloaks on. Yeah, I know, we're good at it. Some of us came here today as if we have it all together, when there are things that are keeping you up at night, where there are deep burdens and pains that you're struggling with, where there's shame and guilt that has consumed you up to this point. And God's like, call it out. Take it off. Rend your heart.